Welcome to the 2023 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday edition, July 8th and 9th, 2023. We're just going to be talking briefly about the stock market tumbling on Friday. Will it continue to tumble coming on this upcoming week based on data as Fed hike rate fears return? We're also going to be talking about China and its impact on the oil machine and other machines in terms of its manufacturing. Its economy is kind of stagnating, but it's still growing at a pace faster than ours. Mortgage demand drops to its lowest level in a month as, quote, interest rates rise. And we're also going to look at the cost of extreme heat, an article talking about healthcare bills in the summer of heat exhaustion, heat stroke. Some people have been impacted by the climate change as we experience the highest Earth experienced the highest global temperature recorded, average temperature around the world of 62.9 degrees Fahrenheit. And these heat waves, as you know, in the central U.S., the Midwest, down in Texas, and all the way up through the Northeast, and also back out west, Southwest too. It's been extreme heat this early in the summer season. So please be sure to subscribe for the latest interpretation of financial news. I appreciate your support, and you'll read all of your comments, and I thank you. Let's get right into it, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, stocks tumble on Friday, according to CNBC.com, notching weekly losses. This is the first time after the big rally we've had the previous week. Traders lament about the hiking fears. The Fed Reserve could be hiking rates at the next meeting in August and September. And this is also sparking fears. So if you look at all three major averages, overall was still up, which is good news on the stock market for the year. But it dropped almost 188 points last week on Friday here. And the jobs report showed that, we added those jobs, as I mentioned last video. And so that's also good news for this economy. It's not exactly a booming economy. I use that sarcastically, guys. As you know, it's a sarcastic metaphor. It's not exactly a booming economy, but it is an economy that is still chugging along with what is given, what is worked with. As obviously it's not given the most. So what's going to happen here is that we're going into the next week, and we have to look at the oil. Oil is the only thing that's been keeping down in terms of per barrel. It's been kept below $80, $90 a barrel so far this summer. So prices have remained. An average national gas price, according to AAA.com, is around $3.62 a gallon for regular unleaded, obviously higher for premium and other high test grades. But this article in Yahoo Finance, a glut of made-in-China plastic will dent oil's growth machine. So you can see here, this is ethylene plastic, one of the chemicals made in material plastic, and Exxon in China leads it with 1.6 million tons of it, and other Chinese companies here, Shandong, Haijin, Fuzhou, Sinopec, Tianjin, all these companies over 1 million tons of ethylene produced a year. And here's BASF down here, I think it's a German company, at 1 million tons as well. But you can see the top 6 or 7 are Chinese-based companies, and this is going to dent oil's growth machine, according to YahooFinance.com. There's one article here that's touting this. And a key driver of global oil profits, the plastic industry is staring down years of anemic margins as giant plants in China seek to send a deluge of production into the market. So basically, they're flooding the market with these plastics. More than 20 petrochemical projects. They're going to produce everything from plastic packaging to clothing to detergents that will be completed across China this year. So they're building these plants at a rapid speed. They have the materials, the raw materials to be able to build these plants, and they're exporting cheap plastics into the rest of the region, South Korea, Japan, etc. Okay, and so this is going to drive down the prices of petroleum-based products in the United States and in the Western nations. What is the impact of China's expansion into this market? So we're going to see this. China is going to end up being the, quote, the single biggest supplier of all things plastics as mature economies in the U.S. and Europe and places like Australia drastically cut back on production without increasing their continued need for these materials. So we're going to see an opportunity here for China to take over with that in the plastics and manufacturing sector. So look out for that in the next 1 to 3 years. Mortgage demand drops, CNBC.com in this article, to the lowest level in a month as interest rates rise. Well, no duh. We've had mortgage rates above 7% now. Average contract for a 30-year fixed mortgage is increased to 6.85 to 6.85% now. It's almost at 7% now. In some cases, at 7.2%, according to some estimates here. So, hey, at this time, the applications are dropping. It had been rising for 3 straight weeks, and now we've dropped 5% for the week here. And a lot of times, we haven't even talked about the commercial real estate. What's going to happen to all these commercial-backed mortgage securities with all these office buildings? You see these signs everywhere, from Cushman and Wakefield to all these commercial realtors who are looking for lease signs. Who is going to rent out these buildings at this cost that we have here? And so we see these costs rising. We see mortgage applications dropping 4% compared to last week. Let me know, if times get hard, are you going to be renting out your house Airbnb style? What do you plan on doing when we go into this housing bubble collapse that's coming up? Maybe not this year, but maybe starting the beginning of next year, as interest rates are going to continue to rise on these mortgages, and the demand for housing is still there. There's still a housing shortage, but we're seeing big investment coming in and buying these houses. Big investors, of course, like BlackRock and Vanguard and other companies coming in, calling in these, buying up whole subdivisions, older subdivisions, and flipping them and remodeling them for renters. Let me know, do you see that trend continuing? Or do you see more people downsizing into RVs, tiny homes, maybe urban apartments? Let me know what you think about that. The cost of extreme heat in the U.S. As you know, they had over 235,000 ER visits, according to MarketWatch.com, and $1 billion in healthcare bills this summer alone. And the summer's not over with. So heat exhaustion, heat stroke, as you know, temperatures are going up in a lot of places. And we're blessed in America and the Western world and Canada and all those places like that. And in fact that we have AC, air conditioning, in a lot of our homes. A lot of homes, as you know, over in Europe and Eastern Europe and over in China and Asia and Africa, they don't have AC readily available, at least in the homes and a lot of the homes and things of that nature. So we're blessed to that nature. But heat waves is becoming more common. How are you able to stay cool? Is it more expensive wherever you're at in the country to cool your home or heat your home? Let me know in the comments, because right now we're experiencing record global temperatures. As I mentioned before at the beginning of this video, the global average temperature reached 69.2 Fahrenheit on Wednesday, according to University of Maine's Climate Reanalyzer. Okay, so every day is getting hotter and hotter. We're going into the hottest month here this August. From July to mid-August is the hottest part of this summer season that we're going into for the majority of the country. And things are getting hot even at places where normally you don't see this kind of heat, even at elevation, mountains, even at places where you're near the oceans. Cooling ocean winds weren't to be found. Temperatures broke heating temperature records in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's heat index reached 125 degrees. Portland, Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, as you know, is one of the bastions of cool air and nice, breezes, even though they rain a lot. But Portland, Oregon hit a sweltering 98 degrees, according to the National Weather Service. El Paso, Texas hit a whopping 107, and that doesn't include the heat index, the humidity that's been unusually high for parts like Texas, Arizona, New Mexico. Even California is getting in the action of heat. The Midwest, Chicago, the Northeast, Baltimore, New York, D.C., Boston, all of this is leading to heat exposure and heat risk. So this is another thing that we have to prepare for, ladies and gentlemen, is that how are we going to deal with the impact of climate change and heat stroke and all of that, and these cities, these urban heat islands and everything. And that's why I always recommend that you have some sort of portable solar generators, either a Jackery or EcoFlow. I'm not promoting these. I don't get paid to promote any of this stuff, but I'm just saying this is what I use, a Jackery or EcoFlow solar generator, or a regular generator if you can find those before, because power can go out at any moment notice, and power is very important for all of our utility operations, as you know. And I just like the solar generators because they run quietly and they are efficient. They're not going to be powering up a lot of your bigger appliances unless you spend, $1,000 or more on these bigger systems. But if just for a general powering up of your fans, your TVs, your computers, your phones, your lights, you can get something economical using those type of generators normally. So with the heat wave, with climate change, and with other things, it is an imperative, it is paramount for us to continue to prepare, most apparently spiritually as well. As you know, the churches are doing a lot of community service and disaster preparedness in the summer, along with vacation Bible schools. There's not an advertisement for that as well, but I do recommend see what type of your faith community, what type of emergency community services that they offer as well. It's very important to be aware of that, because in these times, the more community, faith communities and other communities we have to stick together and band together, the better we're going to be once the public services begin to either shut off or become delayed at any stretch, of the time to be. So anyway, think about these things during the weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Get some fresh air that God has blessed us with. Get some water. Drink plenty of water. Stay hydrated. And wear light clothing as we get through this next 2 weeks of kind of elevated heat temperatures and humidity. It's good, but it's bad. So be blessed. I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you for subscribing, and be blessed. Thank you.